Mr. Jordan, forgive my boldness, but may I have a moment? It concerns Chapel Hill and David Harrison. The voice was calm, respectful, but held an edge. MJ paused. Harrison? Why did that name spark a flicker of unease? Michael Jordan lingered. On the clubhouse terrace, the warm North Carolina evening settling around him. The charity golf tournament had been a success, raising significant funds, reuniting old friends and rivals under the guise of friendly competition. He felt relaxed, the familiar, competitive fire banked, enjoying the quiet satisfaction of a day well spent for a good cause. He was chatting idly with his agent, discussing travel plans, when he noticed the man waiting patiently, respectfully, a few yards away. He was part of the event staff, wearing the standard navy blue polo shirt and khaki pants provided to the temporary hires who managed logistics, directed parking, and assisted guests. Yet this man stood out. He wasn't hovering awkwardly or trying too hard to catch Jordan's eye. He simply waited, his posture composed, dignified, his expression calm, but conveying a quiet determination. He looked vaguely familiar in a way Jordan couldn't immediately place. Perhaps early 60s. Distinguished features, intelligent eyes that held a certain weight. When Jordan's agent moved off to take a call, the man approached smoothly. That's when he spoke, his voice low, carrying easily over the gentle murmur of the remaining guests enjoying cocktails on the terrace. Chapel Hill, David Harrison. The names, linked together by this stranger in an event staff uniform, immediately snagged Jordan's attention, cutting through the post-tournament haze. David Harrison. Jordan searched his memory banks. Freshman year, UNC. Harrison had been a walk-on maybe? Or a recruited player who never quite broke through? Hard worker, decent fundamentals, but lacked that explosive spark. Jordan recalled a quiet intensity about him, maybe a hint of resentment towards the phenom freshman who was already drawing so much attention. But why would this event staffer bring him up now, decades later? "I'm sorry," Jordan began, his tone polite but guarded, years of managing unsolicited approaches kicking in. "Do I know you?" The man offered a small, almost sad smile. "We knew each other, Michael, back then. My name is Marcus Bell. I was, around. Team manager, sophomore year when you and David were freshmen." Marcus Bell. Team manager. Okay, the face clicked into place now, overlaid with the passage of years. Quiet guy, always organized, always observing from the sidelines. "Marcus," Jordan acknowledged, nodding slowly. "Right. Long time. What about David Harrison?" He still felt wary. What could Bell possibly need to tell him about a long-forgotten teammate? "It's about that first scrimmage," Bell continued, his gaze steady, serious now. "Before the season officially started. The one where Coach Smith seemed uncertain about your immediate role, where David seemed to be getting the edge in drills. For a few days." Jordan frowned, the memory surfacing, sharp and clear despite the years. He remembered that period vividly, the intense pressure of arriving at UNC as a heralded recruit, the weight of expectation, Coach Dean Smith's legendary, demanding system. And yes, there had been a brief, intensely frustrating period during those early practices where he felt overlooked, where it seemed like Harrison, the less talented but perhaps more fundamentally sound player at that specific moment, was getting more positive reinforcement from the coaching staff, particularly assistant coach Bill Guthridge. Jordan had perceived it as doubt. Doubt from the legendary Dean Smith himself, channeled through his assistants. He'd heard whispers, maybe even from Bell himself back then, confirming the coach's hesitation about his readiness, about his grasp of the complex system. That perceived doubt became fuel. It ignited Jordan's already ferocious competitive drive. He used it to push himself harder, practice longer, determined to prove them wrong, to leave no question about his dominance. He'd always looked back on that specific period as a crucial test, a moment where he harnessed external skepticism, real or perceived, and turned it into rocket fuel for his ascent. It was a cornerstone of his personal narrative of relentless self-belief overcoming obstacles. "Yeah, I remember that week," Jordan said, his voice cooler now. "Coach Smith pushed everyone hard, made you earn it." He still didn't see the point of this conversation. "What about it?" Marcus Bell took a deep breath, the kind one takes before delivering difficult news. "Michael," he began, his voice dropping lower, more earnest. "What I need to tell you, something I should have maybe clarified years ago. Coach Smith wasn't doubting you that week. Not really. Not in the way you thought." Jordan stared at him, confusion warring with irritation. "What are you talking about? Guthridge was riding me hard, praising Harrison's execution." "He was," Bell acknowledged. "And Harrison was executing the drills well. He was steady. But Coach Smith, he already knew what he had in you, Michael. He saw the fire, the talent, the potential from day one. He wasn't considering starting Harrison over you or cutting your minutes significantly. That wasn't the real dynamic." "Then why did it feel that way?" Jordan challenged, the old frustration, the memory of that perceived slight, still surprisingly potent. "Why did Guthridge push so hard on my mistakes and praise Harrison?" Bell looked down for a moment, gathering himself. Then he met Jordan's gaze directly, his eyes filled with a complex mixture of old loyalty and long-held regret. "Because I might have nudged that perception along," Bell admitted quietly. "I overheard you talking to Buzz Peterson, frustrated, feeling overlooked. I saw how you reacted to criticism, how it made you double down, work harder. And," he hesitated, "David Harrison, he was struggling personally off the court then. Family issues, his confidence was shot. Coach Smith knew. It was trying to build him up subtly, give him some positive reinforcement. So you," Jordan prompted, urging him to finish the thought, a sense of disbelief starting to dawn. "So I," Bell continued, his voice barely above a whisper, "told you Guthridge was really high on David, that Coach Smith was seriously considering giving David more of your reps if you didn't master the defensive sets immediately. I implied the doubt was deeper than it was. I might have even exaggerated what Coach Smith said in a closed-door meeting I overheard." He looked pained. "I thought I was helping. Both of you, maybe. Giving David some space, giving you that extra edge, that enemy to conquer. You always thrived when you felt underestimated, Mike. I saw it even then. I thought I was pouring gasoline on your fire." This was the midpoint, the revelation. Not just a clarification, but a confession. The doubt Jordan had perceived, the doubt that had become a foundational element in his personal mythology of overcoming adversity, hadn't been entirely real. It had been, at least partially, manufactured. Exaggerated by Marcus Bell, the quiet team manager, as a misguided attempt at psychological manipulation intended to fuel Jordan's already legendary competitive drive. Jordan stood there speechless for a moment, the sounds of the clubhouse terrace fading into an indistinct buzz. He felt a wave of disorientation, as if a fundamental piece of his past, a belief he'd carried for 40 years, had just been ripped out and shown to be not false exactly, but distorted, manipulated. He remembered the intensity of his workouts that week, the anger simmering beneath the surface, the laser focus born from the perceived need to prove Dean Smith wrong. Had it all been based in part on a lie? A well-intentioned lie, perhaps, but a lie nonetheless? You told me Coach Smith doubted me?" Jordan finally asked, his voice tight, incredulous. "To motivate me?" Bell nodded miserably. "Yes, I saw how you reacted to perceived slights. It made you unstoppable. I thought it was what you needed to hear right then, to push past whatever freshman jitters you might have had, to solidify your place instantly. It was stupid. Young. Arrogant of me, maybe. I shouldn't have interfered." Jordan ran a hand over his face, trying to process the information. His mind raced back, replaying interactions from that week. Coach Smith's actual words during practice. Demanding, yes, but maybe not dismissive. Guthridge's critiques. Harsh, but focused on execution within the system, not necessarily a judgment of overall talent. David Harrison's demeanor. Quiet, yes, but maybe withdrawn due to his personal issues, not resentment towards Jordan. Subtle inconsistencies he hadn't questioned at the time, because Bell's insider information had provided a convenient, motivating narrative. "Why tell me this now, Marcus?" Jordan asked, the initial shock giving way to a complex mix of emotions. Confusion, maybe a flicker of anger, but also a strange sense of clarity. "After all these years?" Bell sighed, looking suddenly older, wearier. "Been carrying it a long time, Michael. Saw you here today. Saw you signing autographs, talking to kids, still inspiring people. Just felt wrong, keeping it buried. Felt like you deserved to know the whole truth of that moment, even if it was just a small moment. In the grand scheme of your career." He paused. "And maybe," he added quietly, "maybe I just needed to finally clear my own conscience." Jordan looked at Marcus Bell, really looked at him, saw the lines etched by time, the quiet dignity, the lingering regret in his eyes. He wasn't making excuses. He was offering a confession, an explanation for a decades-old intervention that, however misguided, had undeniably played a role in shaping Jordan's early UNC experience, and, perhaps, his psyche. The anger Jordan might have expected to feel didn't fully materialize. Instead, there was a strange sense of readjustment, a recalibration of his own history. It didn't diminish the work he'd put in, the hours in the gym, the pressure he'd overcome. But it subtly altered the narrative he told himself. He hadn't just overcome external doubt, he'd also been fueled by manufactured doubt, a catalyst provided by an unexpected, invisible hand. The realization was profound, unsettling, yet strangely freeing. It added another layer, another complex human element, to a story he thought he knew completely. "So Coach Smith," Jordan said slowly, testing the new reality. "He believed in me? From the start?" "He believed in the work ethic he knew he could instill in you," Bell clarified. "He saw the raw clay, knew you were different. He just needed you to buy into the system, the team concept, before unleashing you completely. The doubt you felt, some of it was real freshman pressure, learning his demanding style. But the specific idea that he was seriously considering benching you for David? That part, that was mostly me trying to light a fire." Jordan nodded slowly, absorbing it. The hidden truth wasn't scandalous. It wasn't earth-shattering in a way that changed his legacy. But it was deeply personal, altering the internal landscape of his own memory, forcing him to reevaluate a pivotal moment through a new, more complex lens. It revealed the intricate, often unseen ways lives intersect, the surprising influence quiet observers can have, and the long-lasting impact of small interventions, however well-intentioned. He looked back at Marcus Bell, the former team manager, now working event staff, the man who held this secret for 40 years. "Thank you for telling me, Marcus," Jordan said finally, his voice quiet but sincere. "Took courage." Bell met his gaze, relief washing over his features. "Just felt like the right thing to do, Mike." Finally, they stood in silence for another moment, two men linked by a shared past, a newly revealed truth hanging between them. In the warm Carolina evening, the distant cheers from the golf course echoing a lifetime ago. How do the stories we tell ourselves about our past shape our present identity? And what happens when those foundational narratives are challenged or revealed to be incomplete? Can a small intervention, even a well-intentioned lie, have unforeseen consequences that ripple through decades? Share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe for more stories exploring the complex interplay of memory, motivation, and hidden truths.